Welcome back, Survival on Purpose. Again, my name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. This video today is going to be about the SCHF43, sometimes known as the Jessica X knife from Schrade, and it's actually designed, there we go, that's pretty clear, from Chris Tanner with Prepared Mind 101. So this is a big knife. This is also a Gauntlet review, and I'm honored to be the first person this time in the Gauntlet to review this knife. So before we get started, I want to talk real quickly about that whole Gauntlet process. If you're not familiar with it, there's several videos. Real quickly, it's just a process by which one single knife or other piece of gear goes to 10 or so, somewhere in that neighborhood, of YouTube reviewers, knife reviewers, and different people on YouTube that have channels to give their take on the knife and just see how well it fares and all that. So I brought that up to mention this. By the way, I'll put links to all the other channels below. Make sure you sign up, and there will actually be a Gauntlet channel that's just been created. You'll be able to go on there shortly, and there'll be a playlist with every knife, and this will have its own playlist. So that's all I'll say about that. So anyway, it came up in another review of the Gerber Strong Arm that was started by Aaron at Gideon's Tactical. At least it came up on my channel. I don't know if it's on the other channels or not, about the somewhat of a controversy, for lack of a better word, because Aaron had mentioned that he reprofiled the edge when he got it from Gerber because he wasn't happy with it. And there are several people who said that's kind of goes against the spirit of the Gauntlet, because they want to see how the thing does from the factory. And I understand that totally. I'm going to do that with this one, I think. I haven't really tried the edge of it yet, but I will say this, okay? If the first person to review a knife feels a really overwhelming need to do any kind of, whether touching up or even more comprehensive work on the edge, that right there should be your answer as to how the edge comes from the factory. So if the first person really feels like this is just an unworkable edge, then I don't think it really does a whole lot of anybody any good to go ahead and pass down a dull knife and everybody can see that it's dull and doesn't do anything. So at some point in time, you got to sharpen the thing, and whether that's a minor sharpening or a major sharpening, and then you can actually have an idea of how well the edge that you do put on it holds up, how well the steel is, and how strong the knife is. So I completely understand the desire to see how this thing is from the factory, or how anything is from the factory, and to follow it through based on the original configuration. However, if the original configuration for whatever reason is just unworkable, and that's going to be it, basically whoever starts the thing out has got to make that decision. If it's unworkable, then I don't really see what you learn by passing down along an unworkable tool to more and more people. So I guess anyway, the way I'm looking at that is, to sum it up and to reiterate and to be very redundant as usual, the first person has to rework the edge. Well, there's your answer right there. So take that, take that for what it's worth. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to rework this edge or not. I have not used it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use it just like it is from the factory, and then we're gonna see how well it is. And if it doesn't do a good job, you'll know that. And then I'll send it to the next person and they can do what they want to with it. But I think at that point in time, if I'm the second person to get something the first person said is dull, it's going to get worked on, okay? And I think that's reasonable. I hope you agree. Okay, so before we get started with any knife stuff whatsoever, since this is such an unusual kind of configured blade and handle shape, thought we'd go ahead and tell you about the specs and do some close-ups, and then we'll do the knife stuff. Okay, well, this is the long-awaited SCHF43, or Jessica X, from Schrade, designed by Chris Tanner from Prepared Mind 101. This knife features a 9-inch blade of 1070 carbon steel, 8.5-inch handles with TPE handle slabs for an overall length of 17.5 inches of full tang mayhem. Blade thickness is 0.18 inches, and this knife weighs 28 ounces, or pretty much a pound and a half. Okay, so that was some of the specs and details about the new SCHF43, or Jessica X. Did want to show you the sheath, and it's kind of unusual. I'm going to back up just a little bit where you can see. So this knife, the sheath is basically what they're calling a baldric sheath, and basically it goes over your shoulders. You got an adjustable strap here, you can adjust it, and then the knife fits in like so, and it has a strap closure here to keep it going. It's also got a leg strap if you want to strap it down your leg, keep it from wobbling. I think a baldric is appropriate since this is about the size of a small sword. So one thing I did want to show you, if you just don't like that, and honestly, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'll have to let you know later. But the sheath itself, this is a prototype model, I guess, but early release. It's not even really in production yet fully. So that on the production models that are available for sale, whenever this thing gets ready, which is going to be sometime later this year, you'll be able to remove this, and I think it'll be Velcroed on or something, but you'll be able to remove it and you'll have a belt loop. So you can just carry it on your belt if you want, and still have the leg sheath possibility. Okay, so before we get started in the controlled laboratory environment here we're going to go ahead and go out into the wild and cut some resources to work with here. We're going to bring them back here. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll let you see that, and then we'll come back here. So take a look at the edge here. I really want to just see the edge is not damaged, and the finish is good. This coating is really pretty tough. It doesn't pick up gunk like the old asphalt coating. Pretty good chopper, as you can see, hopefully. I did want to show you that because we got some pine, we got some poplar, and some fat wood, which is always a bonus. So now we're going to take the stuff we cut out in the wild and brought it back to the laboratory here. We're going to do some knife stuff with it. So let's get started. Wow, sun is bright. So anytime you're dealing with a knife this big, I think balance is a critical issue for usability. So I always like to get it in the high-tech facility here, Survival on Purpose, and give it a whirl. So literally. Okay, so I got to show you here, through the calibration process, had a couple of adjustments need to be made, and you can see this TPE handle did not fare well with the adjustment process. So it's another reason why you shouldn't do this at home. I think we got her kind of calibrated now though. I got to tell you, this Georgia sun is hot. It's almost July here. It's hot. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and, this is a pretty good size log. It's about all you'd want to try to baton. This may be a little overkill, but we're going to, this is a beast, so we're going to give it a whack. You saw how well it does at chopping. I'm having to beat the heck out of it now. Not a lot to hit on the end here. Turn around here where you can see a little better. So, kind of whack it in a little better. All right. Okay, so pretty good test there, I think. I'll go ahead and split a little bit more of this out. And that's solid wood. And be right back with you. Okay, so you saw how well it does beastly type tasks, and no big surprise there. I mean, it's a gigantic hunk of 1070 carbon steel, so it should not be a surprise. Now comes the edge test we were talking about. I do want to show you, this thing has got this handle on here. It's got ability to be gripped in several different ways. First of all, you can see again, there's the calibration errors on my balance testing equipment. TPE does that sometimes. It's actually got this nice hook on the end of the handle, so if you're chopping, you really need some serious chopping. It just gives you a good, solid purchase. Also got a nice swell here if you just want to do some medium type chopping. Like we'll go ahead and maybe make like a, if you're trying to make, I'm going to use this one a little bit bigger, make a whatever, you know, a little more controlled chopping, because and then you can actually choke all the way up here to the finger guard and just get some, really a lot more control. So depending on what you're trying to do. If you're doing heavy duty chopping, you probably want to hold it back here, but if you're just trying to do some more controlled chopping type work with it, then you definitely got options there. But what I also like about it is it's got a pretty shallow choil, but it is a choil. It's got a finger choil here, and so I thought we'd see how well this edge does from the factory on some of this. I think it's oak. I'm not sure what it is. And I'll be honest with you, it's going to be one of those cases. I'm pretty sure. Again, this is not a production knife, so I don't know what I'm sure hopefully the production will be better, but this edge leaves a lot to be desired. The profile is just not. It's got a pretty much a, I don't know, saber grind maybe a little bit, but it's also has a pretty steep secondary bevel there. Maybe it's a little too steep. It's just not doing it for me. Let's try a different kind of wood. Maybe that'll help. Okay, so I got what someone's told me, sycamore. I don't know. And it's been feathering pretty good for me with some other knives. But I'll be honest with you. Again, let's see. I can get some feathers out of it, and you can see they're pretty. You know, I can get some fine ones, but it's not easy. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell, but I have to be honest, this edge is not what I've come to expect from Schrade. Again, this is not really a production model. This is more of a prototype, or at least an early release, first run, just for testing. But I have to say, it just, I mean, you can see it did okay, but it wasn't all that, if you ask me. I mean, so this is going to be one of those Gauntlet cases where I'm going to leave it as is, but this is going to Joe Mobley next. I think it would be completely reasonable to expect Joe to do something with this edge. Again, it just, in my mind, it doesn't do any good to keep passing along something which is, you know, subpar. So, but I wanted to be the first and go ahead and not do anything to it and show you exactly how it was from the factory. And I'm telling you this right now from the factory, it's not groovy. Okay, however, since we've gotten this far, why don't we go ahead and check out the, because this thing does have a 90-degree spine on it, so let's go ahead and check out the ferro rod capabilities of this thing. And because I want to, because I like to, I'm going to go ahead and take my favorite piece of fat wood here, and I'm going to cut off a pretty good chunk of it. This is where that fine hole comes in. And then I'm going to take it and see if I can scrape some of it with the spine, like so. If you can see this. Because to me, that's something that's really important about a spine, is the ability to scrape the old fat wood. And I hope you're getting this. I hope this is showing up on camera, because it is scraping really, really well. I mean, I got a nice little fuzz of fat wood there, and so now we ought to be able to get a fire. So let's see what we can do with the ferro rod. This again is a Schrade ferro rod from the SCHF43 orange. So let's see what we got here. All right, so there we go. It's a little bit awkward because it's so big, but once you, this is a good case for the pull, because you can really rest it way out away from your tender and then pull it, and you can get good strikes that way. So, okay, well there you go. That's pretty much everything I can think of to do to this knife. I was actually going to try to use it for some fine tasks, just to be, and I really think with a good edge, a better edge, it would do fine at smaller tasks. It does great at chopping and splitting. I mean, it bites really deep. It's got a lot of mass, and you can get a lot of inertia and momentum from the way it swings back here, from holding it at the very back. But as I said over and over, I'm beating a dead horse. I know Joe Mobley's going to get this. I fully expect him to do something with this edge. It's not what I would consider great. It's not up to par of what I've seen from Schrade, honestly, for the past year. So again, I only think this is not a production knife, and they're going to do a better job on the production models that they release for sale. I'm sure they will, especially after, you know, seeing, hopefully after seeing this video, they'll take a closer look at that. But all in all, this is, again, just a big, healthy chunk of 1070 steel. Chris did a great job, I think. Look, it's a weird looking knife, I know that. When I first saw it, I thought, I don't know, man, that thing's kind of funky looking, but for its purpose, which is primarily like a big one-tool chopper option, it really gets the job done, but it has enough versatility, I think, to be able to be used in a you know, wider range of circumstances, put it that way. I like the fact that it's 1070 steel. I think that's a real good steel for a knife that's meant to take a lot of beating and abuse. 90-degree spine works great, scraping ferro rods, scraping fat wood, scraping wood. Once I got it calibrated, it's very well balanced. I mean, for a big knife, the balance point is honestly somewhere about right there. So, pretty good. Anyway, I'm sorry, sweating really bad here. This is the first review in the Gauntlet series on the Jessica X, or the Schrade SCHF43, and Joe Mobley's next. I'll put a link to his channel below and all the rest of them. As always, thanks for watching Survival on Purpose. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking that like button, that little thumbs up thing down there. Thanks for sharing this with your friends, for watching those ads, and for doing your Amazon shopping through my link. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel, and I sincerely thank you. Once again, my name is Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. See you next time.